level. You can tell them I said it. Level up, level up, level up, go. Everything, that means everything. Eyes connected to everything. And that's why I'm in everything. All eyes on me, all eyes on everything. That means everything. Eyes connected to everything.
Oh, God, that was good. Ooh. Y'all been seeing my water?
Doing that water intake?
Baby, I have to really, pat myself on the back. I'm at the big gym now. That was a goal that I set for myself back last month, to get to the big gym. And now I'm at the big gym. And John was like, oh, you got more toys to work with. Yeah. So now I'm redoing my whole routine while in the big gym because I had everything set for the small gym. So now I'm adding 2 at the big gym. Let me just say this. Women who get on the Stairmaster, you all are fucking superheroes. Do you hear me? I was on there after 4 minutes. I was like, I think I'm coming close to dying.
Yeah, you're just deconditioned. You're just deconditioned. That's it.
I was on there. I was like, how is this lady over here? Honey, give me whatever you got because I need it. But I managed to do an extra 1 minute today on it. I said, you know what? It's a challenge. I'm just gonna.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Yeah. Nobody's in the room, but we're going to go ahead and get started. This is Things That People Don't Want to Talk About, brought to you by God Level. I am originally from St. Louis, Missouri. I am a mother. I'm a nurse. I'm an aunt. I'm a friend. I'm a sister. I'm a GG. I have this podcast. I'm an entrepreneur. I am everything good. John, you want to? Oh, I'm sorry, Ivy. You want to go ahead and represent yourself?
I can. What's going on, good peoples? Wonderful people of the digital world. I'm your girl, Inattentive Ivy, coming to you live, man. And you can find me at Inattentive Ivy on TikTok, where I talk about mental health, ADHD, and I am the owner of all of these hamsters. I am a mom, a sister, a friend, former broadcast journalist, and I'm always advocating for people in our community, people of color, and just people who suffer from mental health, mental illnesses, and stuff. Sharing my journey and keeping my journey a buck, so that way people can also keep their journey a buck. So salute.
People are afraid to talk about the things that they have been through and what they go through, for fear of being judged. This is a judgment-free zone. We are not going to judge you here for what you've been through, because 9 times out of 10, there are thousands of people who have been through the same thing, so your story is just the same as a lot. They just haven't been able to talk about it. That's the difference. John, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
Judgment free, but we are full of accountability.
Woo!
Just want to clarify that. I might not be judging, but I will hold you accountable. John Skywalker, the Slot Talker here, lyricist, spoken word artist, martial artist, personal trainer, lover of life, student of psychology, and I'm a father who has 5 hip-hop albums streaming on all major music streaming platforms now. If you are familiar with artists like Yasin Bey, Common, he just released, shout out to Common and Pete Rock, any of the lyricists, Papoose, Sky Zoo, Mickey Fax, Lupe Fiasco. That's me right here, just at this level down here without, the fame, the accolades, and, the experience, but top tier lyricism. That's me. If you're into that type of thing, go look up John Skywalker. Go look up John Skywalker. Go look up who? John Skywalker. Salute.
All right. I just heard from Sherman. He's attempting to get on. I just told him to go ahead and sign on. Tonight's show is about boundaries.
Let's get it.
Baby, I've been relearning them. because you lose them as you get older through certain situations, and then you have to relearn them all over again, especially when you are in the process of becoming the best version of you. You're going to have to set them, meaning I'm not doing the same things that I did a year ago, shit, 6 months ago, so 3 months ago, 2 months ago. You have to
Come
set
on.
those boundaries when you are moving towards the best version of yourself. And that is whatever the best version of yourself looks like to you. No one can tell you what that person is. That is simply a you thing. So for me, working out is becoming the best version of myself. I know I can't be eating out all the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know I got to get this water in. I know I got to stay away from the sodas. You know,
Habits.
man, DoorDash can't come to my house no more.
And guess what? That is called an internal boundary.
There you go.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
He said, "What's water?" This right here, baby. You see that? Cucumbers and orange, because I have a thing with just drinking plain water. So, sis, you know, I gotta spice it up for myself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, thank you, Sean Howard. I gotta spice it up for myself. Not everybody, you know, does this, but hey. And then I got LA. Shout out to LA, the brother with the sauce. This man made me a smoothie and told me all of what he had in it. I was like, this is great. So I'm getting a re-up tomorrow on the smoothie. So I've been drinking smoothies in the morning. My goal is to take in more good than bad, because of course you still like them. They sell Grippos here in St. Louis. Anybody in Cincinnati, Ohio know what that means.
I'm from Ohio, baby. Grippos go hard.
Grippos go hard. And what's crazy, I said, this is the devil. This is right down the street at the gas station. I said, at the gas station. 3 bags. I ain't gonna even lie. I bought all 3.
Oh my goodness.
I was bad, you know, but I'm like, this is the devil. The peach cobbler factory. The devil.
Oof.
Who came up with a peach cobbler shake? I said,
who would do that?
Why? And it looks good.
But you know what? You're holding yourself accountable, and that is your physical boundary. Come on, man. Come on, because there's 7 different types of boundaries. I'm gonna be quiet because I know.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Okay. We'll break it down.
We'll get to it. We got to warm up to it.
Okay.
Yeah. So what are okay? Look,
go ahead. Whoever wants to start.
Fantastic. I will go ahead and ask the question out there. If you're watching, if you are listening, whatever. What are boundaries? Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna wait for somebody else to start because listen, the boundaries game put me on. Do you hear me?
No, go ahead and start, honey.
Well, you know what, let's build off of how we did with the snack, right? The snippet. Ivy really resonated with the mansion analogy, right? And I use the mansion analogy because boundaries in general are basically the walls that we use to compartmentalize our lives, right? So I have a compartment here, a room here, a room here. In this room, I do certain things that I don't do in this room, right? So we segregate, hence put boundaries in our lives so that we can distinguish the operations within our own rooms. However, we're interacting with other people too. So you have a mansion, they have a mansion, they all have mansions, everybody has a mansion. And so you have to dictate for yourself how you want to, first off, design the security and the rules for that room. In this room, we watch TV, but in this room over here in the bedroom, that requires a secret security clearance. You can't just go in there. You can't just walk in there. There's a secret code to that. And in there, that bedroom has a secret lock door that goes down into the basement. And there's a vault in there that has my deepest, darkest secrets. I don't even have my stuff in the closet. They go down there. So it's all of these walls. We have these walls here just to distinguish this from that, but also when we're interacting with other people. So I use the mansion again. Some people will never get inside of your courtyard. Some people will never see the inside of your living room. Some people will not know the color of the drapes. right? And so you're creating these boundaries so that you can decide how people are going to navigate you. But likewise, how are you going to navigate them? Right. So I just want you guys, the audience members, I want you guys to think of boundaries as a way of putting up certain walls, right? And in this wall where I'm letting you in, we only do certain things in these walls right here. Now, if we go over into this room, or you let me into this room over here, then and then there's rules, right? The boundaries are also rules. It's your policy, right? So that's my first take.
I need to speak the reason why that hit me just like in the chest when you talked about the mansion in terms of boundaries, right? Because I realized as a recovering codependent, I had no walls up, right? And then would wonder why everybody was to come in my house and steal all my stuff, right? Why are they taking, man, I didn't know what boundaries are, you know? I had no idea. And so then I'm like, why are people taking my pride away from me? Why are people taking my why are they stealing my dignity my dignity from me? The thing is that when you have I didn't have any walls. A girl, come on,
say that, Ella.
Talk
say
about
that,
it. Come on. Because that is true. I didn't know. When I finally started learning about boundaries, and I knew that boundaries aren't necessarily to keep people out. Boundaries are to keep myself contained and to keep myself safe. Right. So the idea of that mansion and having a wall where you have rules in this room, you have rules in this room. Some people don't get further than the courtyard, because if they come in your house, they gonna come and put their dirty feet on your couch. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna put their shame in your closet. They're gonna carry their destructive, toxic, unhealthy coping mechanisms. They're gonna stick that shit in your kitchen. They're gonna put it in your fridge. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't even realize that is what was happening. Man, that mansion put me on game. I told my art therapist, I was talking about the mansion all week. I'm not even playing.
Yeah,
I was talking about that mansion.
But you're setting the rules for your mansion, though. You know, that's the ultimate thing is, I mean, it could have been any other metaphor. It could have been you're a whole country, I'm a whole country, and we're doing policy. We're trying to figure out how to negotiate trade relations, you know. So you got to have those boundaries in place. You got to have those policies in place so that, you know, you can figure out how to relate to another person. It's not just about keeping people out, but you're also trying to regulate. You're trying to regulate how you operate in other people's spaces as well. And it's not always about, you know, those evil spirits. It's not always about those narcissists that are out there. It could be your friends. It could be people that you're really cool with, and you're just creating, and so I'm interacting with you, but I'm just now discovering, oh shoot, you have a boundary that you didn't even know about. You didn't even know. Oh yeah, that one. The greatest.
And people will test your boundaries. I've had my boundaries tested this week, and I had to respectfully decline. Excuse me, I don't like that approach. You're crossing the line with me. And even and they got aggressive.
Because people that don't have boundaries don't like boundaries. Ha! Ha ha! Let's go ahead and put that one out there and keep that one a buck. If you don't have your own internal boundaries, you don't like it when somebody else gives you boundaries.
You sure don't.
I know that John is going to find a way how to bring that back. So I'm just going to go ahead and put myself on mute, because that one was.
Don't put yourself on mute. Don't put yourself on mute. Okay, I was just sharing.
I'm just saying, like, dead serious. Let's go ahead and keep that one a buck. People who don't like boundaries and don't have their own, they hate when other people set boundaries with them.
I always got to use my personal experience.
Understood.
I had boundaries that I allowed to be crossed, to put me in a position where I was on a emotional roller coaster with a man, because I allowed that. Up until that moment, I didn't allow that, because I said that doesn't fit who I am. but I allowed it to happen, and it sent me. I would never do that again. So I remind myself that boundary I had in place because of the situation that I just went through for the past couple of years. Don't ever cross that shit again.
Yep.
You know,
and Elle said it right. I'm gonna go ahead and put it up again. Elle said it right. They lack mental and emotional intelligence if they respond aggressively.
Yeah, and he was very aggressive, and I just at that which point I had to just kind of like walk away. I said what I needed to say, but then I also had to remove myself from the situation so it wouldn't go any further, because I don't know why you even thought it was okay to even approach.
How about it? I just want to go ahead, Sean, you better come on. Or if you want to have your way, or you want to control others, you don't like boundaries. Of course not, because if you want to control others, why do you want to control others? Because something is left in out of balance within yourself, so you feel like you've got to control external things. I'm gonna go ahead and go on mute again.
And that is true. That is definitely true. People who do not have people who try to control everything that's going on around them, they're doing so out of fear. Let's just be real. They're doing so out of fear. They're overly protecting themselves by trying to control and move everyone on their board like chess pieces. That's a part of their mask.
I just want to give a shout out. Sherm just came on. Hey, brother, what's going on, man?
Yeah. Go ahead and represent yourself, Sherm.
Well, Sherman Vaughn. I was just trying to figure out how to do something right. That's all I ever got. That's it. And the question,
we're talking about boundaries. On boundaries, that was the title. On boundaries, overrated anyway.
Okay.
No, they're not.
Okay, so that's the question. No, I don't think boundaries are overrated at all. But I think everything was said. It's just showing you how to treat me. It's pretty cut and dry. I'm just explaining to you how I would like to be treated, and my emotional intelligence and stuff like that. And this is where I'm at. And this is how I would like to be treated, and this is how I'm going to treat you. I'm not exempt just because I'm coming up with rules for you. No, I'm going to follow them as well, and I'll treat you as such. And give you, just start out with understanding and respect, and I don't think you can fail.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Everything
I like that part where he was saying, I like that part where you were saying, about how I'm going to treat you, right? Because again, I'm looking at it like policy. You may come across somebody. Now, this kind of ties into this question right here, right? You might come across somebody who doesn't respect themselves as much as you respect yourself, right?
Exactly.
And so you come into their mansion, you come into their house, their space, and you're giving them more respect than they're giving themselves, right? So here it is. Hey, the whole house. You come through the whole house, and you're like, nah, I don't even need to. Look, I'll just sit here in the living room. I'll just take a bottle of water. Do you got water? You ain't got no. Okay, hey, you ain't got to be that hospitable. This is our way of figuring out each other's hospitality. Because if you're coming into my space, I'm a hospitable person. So my goal is to make sure that you love it here. And if you don't, well, there's the gate. There's the gate, because I know I'm a put in full effort, right? But we have to negotiate on the treatment part. All right. So boundaries is one way in which we can express our self-respect and our respect towards others. That's one way, right? That's one way. So that's a function. That's a function of boundaries. Is it conveys self-respect. It conveys respect. I respect your space. Therapists do it all the time. Like, just because they're your therapist and you're paying them doesn't necessarily mean that your therapist has rights and access to all of your secrets, to all of your content, your emotions. That is you volunteering. That is you doing that on your own. That's you volunteering that information. So you're saying, all right, I'm establishing this boundary right here, but it's flexible. And as we get deeper into our therapy session, I'll relax those boundaries and give you more access to this room, this bedroom over here, these secrets over here. Right? So I like that. Yeah, we have to negotiate with our boundaries. We have to agree on the boundaries. There needs to be an understanding as to why it's in place, and how to navigate each other. But yeah, let's get back to these comments. Hold up.
Yeah, Elle, I
I'm gonna
love
go back
her.
to L.
Yeah, I see it as a trauma response. Say
Yes.
that, girl.
I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it back up because first of all, this is my homegirl from North Carolina. L, you spitting, girl. Michelle,
Yes.
you know you are spitting. I don't think, and that was a response to Sean. Sean was like, is it fear or are they bad people? And Elle said, I don't think they're all bad people, but met some people who've literally never been checked. I was just telling my kid this today. I was like, bullies bully other people because of the fact that they know who they can bully. If you don't have any boundaries, of course a bully is going to be able to bully you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and even as a kid, if you are that kid that they're like, yeah, I can go ahead and knock their milk down and they ain't gonna come at me. What is a bully gonna do? Because a bully is just trying to get attention. They're not trying to get respect because they don't have any for themselves. You see what I'm saying? So that's not what they're trying to do. They're just trying to get attention. So yeah. I mean, a bully is going to do that. And if you don't have any, go ahead. I'm sorry. Because I just saw John.
I was going to say, just real quick to that part right there. We're going to talk about that later on. But those who violate boundaries, I just want to, clarify something. Because I know what he's saying right there. That's a certain type of person, right? But sometimes we violate boundaries not knowing, I didn't know that was a boundary for you. Because we do that. We presume that everybody should know what your boundaries are.
Yeah.
But you have to communicate them verbally and non-verbally. And a lot of the times you don't know until the boundary is crossed. And that's when you learn, that's a boundary for you. And so you debate that. There's a conflict. Oh, you should have known. You just should have known. Well, I'm still figuring out the book of you. I haven't even seen your kitchen yet. I didn't even know that there was a wall between the living room and I didn't know. So I'm still learning. I'm sorry. Boundary respected now. So I just want to throw that out there. Not all. Sometimes. Yeah.
And Sean said something again. I cannot read minds. This is one. Come on, man. Because for real, I'm not a mind reader. I learned that going to family therapy. You can't, you have to teach somebody how to treat you. And you can't just expect for everybody just to know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go right ahead.
Because comprehension isn't there. Say that.
Absolutely.
You just had a realization, didn't you?
Oh yes,
absolutely.
I did.
Absolutely. I like that. I like all of this. I think everything is being said. I just feel like everything is being said. Everything that needs to be, because I'm really straightforward. So if you're not, let's stay on track. The function of a boundary to me is exactly what you're saying, just teaching you how to treat me. And I'm not going to condemn you if I didn't tell you the boundary. I'm gonna correct you. I'm gonna correct you in the time, just to let you know that is a boundary and stuff like that. So let's not cross that bridge again and stuff like that. But I mean, everything is being said in the comments and I don't really have an input.
I really just want to say this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's perfect.
I was going to say something else. Not only are boundaries to teach people how to teach you, I'm going to keep on stressing this. Internal boundaries are to teach you how to teach you, to treat me how to treat me. I'm not going to violate me. You understand what I'm saying? If I tell myself and I wake up in the morning and I say that I'm going to write my gratitude list, I'm doing that for my own well-being. I'm not going to violate me. If I wake up in the morning and I'm stretching, or if I wake up in the morning and go to the gym, that is a boundary I have with myself because I need to treat me how I need to be treated. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that that's really important. People don't understand. We got people out here saying, I know about boundaries. I know how to enact boundaries. And they think that this is cussing out somebody or telling somebody off or telling them, you can't do that with me. You can't do that with me. But do you really know why? Do you really know why you can't do that with me? A boundary is not to control other people and their stuff. Yeah. A boundary is to keep you safe.
That's it.
A boundary is to keep you safe. So I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah, keep going. I'll go back on mute because y'all know
Sean is going hard right now.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Could that be a
Jessica,
product of their environment? A lot of people are a product of their environment if they have not come into a self-awareness of who they are and taken accountability and changed from that from being a product of their environment.
You know what?
Come on, man.
If it was a traumatizing environment. A lot of people are not walking around in their authentic self due to the trauma that they have that happened to them coming up. They haven't dealt with it.
I want to piggyback off that.
Go right ahead.
That what I like about that, and I think a tall feat is figuring out who you are. It's a tall feat for a lot of people. So I think boundaries are a stepping stone. It's a beautiful stepping stone to start to get into that, because finding yourself, it ain't as easy, because if you ask for a table, what's going to appear in front of you is a tree. You got to do the work, and it's so much better when you do the work. So because when I make that table, I pass it down in my generational, and then my son, he said my dad made tables, so I'm going to make furniture, and then his son has a brick and mortar. Sometimes you're the seed. Sometimes you're the seed, and sometimes I think boundaries and things like this are stepping stones to figuring out who you are.
I'm just gonna shut up and go on mute.
Me too. I don't even have any. What the hell?
I'm piggybacking. Y'all giving
piggyback, dude.
All right, he was horseback. He was horseback riding on that because he was majestic. Yeah, he was majestic, right?
He hitched the wagon.
Majestic. Yeah,
he hitched the wagon to that joint. You better go on, man.
Look,
y'all
that's a
in
clip.
These comments.
That's a clip. I've got to remember what. That's a clip. What we 26 minutes in? Let me write that down. That's a clip.
I appreciate it. But I'm just thinking back on what everybody else is saying.
Yeah, so to add more to the function, and then we'll transition into the next question, right? So when we're thinking about the function of boundaries, we want to think about autonomy, right? Every individual is an individual, right? And hence that also precludes independence, right? And independence and autonomy, although they are not the same thing, they are very much related. Boundaries also attributes stress reduction, right? By managing your boundaries, you're basically managing your time and your resources more effectively. Then there's the mental health element of it. You got to preserve your peace. You got to protect your peace. But also, it's about reducing the anxiety and the depression and the other negative emotions that come with dealing with other people. I mean, you're going to get provoked, right? I mean, different energies. I'm different, you're different. So you got to have those boundaries there sometimes. I mean, again, we're in a political climate that's very charged right now. And so, yeah, it helps to have some boundaries in place so that you can have your thing and I can have my thing and that it doesn't clash, right? Then there's the empowerment element. Boundaries are supposed to empower you to make better decisions that align with your values and your goals. What else? Healthy relationships. You cannot have healthy relationships without boundaries, right? This is about feeling respected and feeling valued and achieving balance, right? Just, again, you guys are communicating these boundaries. Clarity, boundaries do clarify what's acceptable, what's unacceptable. And then I'll say protection. Yeah, protection is another function. It's an obvious function. I want to protect you. You want to protect me, hopefully.
Yes.
And yeah, that's physical and emotional well-being. This is about preventing the infringement of space, time, and resources. This is, protecting you from exploitation. Even though because we were just talking, we kind of hinted at people pleasing, right? And so you need those boundaries. Sometimes you need those boundaries in for that individual until they get to the mindset of asserting themselves, right? All right, hey, I can help you, but I'm not here to, be your slave. So the boundaries help, clarify your purpose, clarifies your identity. It just clarifies everything. So let's go into, this will be
it's one.
I don't look. Harrison spit what?
Yeah, he did. You gotta answer that, baby. What are the roots of finding oneself when the enlightenment you desire is confined by a generation of teachings?
I want to go first because mine is going to be very, very fast. Mine is going to be very fast. The roots of finding oneself is you wanting to. That is absolutely it. It's the end all be all. If you want to, you will change anything in your life. If you want, you will achieve anything that you want. It's about what you want to do. You don't try not to blame it on a generation, because sometimes, like I said, you are the seed. You're the start.
Yeah.
You're the start of the tree. It may have been a burned down house, but you cannot concentrate on that. It's not for you.
But you can
Mm.
acknowledge,
You can
that,
acknowledge it. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
like, all right, the reason why I arrived under these conditions is because of these misteachings. So I'm
There
gonna
you
take
go.
accountability for me receiving those misteachings, and I'm
There
gonna
you
say,
go.
okay, this is what it is, and I have it in me. Now I got to okay, that's accountability. That's you accepting
There
that,
it
all
is.
right, I am not my misteachings, but they did influence this condition.
So accountability. That's how you
Accountability.
start.
And the
There it is.
desire to change, to be
There it is.
That
different,
part.
looking back and looking at everything, the big picture of things, seeing seeing all the elements in which are surrounding you when growing up, and saying to yourself, you know what, I don't want to be that person, I don't want to be like this, I don't want to be like that, I don't want to be like her, I want to be better. Wanting to be better than the environment that you grew up in. I want to be anything like my mother. I want to be better than my mother.
Absolutely.
That part.
And I tell my kids
Gail,
the same thing. Don't be anything like me. Learn from me, but be better than me.
Absolutely.
That's we generational. Oh, I'm gonna have to call my daughter on that, because we have a saying in this family, and I wish she was watching. She would tell you, every generation is supposed to get better. That is our family mantra right there. Every generation is supposed to get better, not stay the same, not get worse, get better.
yeah,
Yeah.
because let's go ahead and keep this about too. A lot of times in communities of color, we grew up with do as I say, don't do as I do. Right.
Mhm.
And the only way in order for you to get out of that types of teaching is you literally, John, you always talk about that mental download. You always talk about that download of who we are. Right. And the thing is in 44 years for me, I learned how to do things a certain type of way until things got so bad that I was like, I have to unlearn everything that I have learned up to this part. I'm talking spiritual, emotional, relational, physical, all of it. I had to unlearn everything. And so the way that you get to a different place, even though you might not be living it, is you have to say that at this point, I might have learned A, but I have to learn B, C, D, E, F, G, right? We literally have to accept what has been taught and learn to challenge our assumptions and go a different way. All right, I'm done.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I love the comments here. I love how everyone. First off,
They are
shout out to
spit.
Kingpin, man. Harrison, he got the comments
Harrison
going.
ain't playing.
Yeah,
Harrison,
it's a worthy question though. It's a worthy question, right? So let's take a step back, right? What if what you want doesn't align with the reality that you are living or experiencing? So we're talking about recognizing the need for change. The first word is recognizing. Recognizing is a function of awareness. Is he?
You need to call in.
Oh, you know,
Dang, you need like for real.
hey.
The last clip I made was basically his response to whatever we were talking
Yes, sir.
about, and I posted it. Yeah, I got a lot of feedback on that. Mr. Harrison, you need to call
All
in.
right,
But go
Kingpin,
ahead.
they calling you again, man. You
Yeah,
have been
Just
requested.
call in, like, man, yeah, very requested, highly requested. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you
But
gotta
it all
bring
begins
yourself
with awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it begins with the awareness. So, and Sherman was talking about accountability. Accountability cannot happen without awareness. So, we were talking about reality, perception. Your perception is the reality. You might see an opportunity that nobody else sees. You might see it. But the question is, does that opportunity align with your goals? Does it align with your character? Does it align with who you are? Well, shoot, I don't even know. All right, you got a lot more questions to be asking now. So, awareness and investigation. And that's pretty much what we do all the time. We're always investigating, right? So you got to ask yourself the right questions, right? I'm perceiving this reality and you have a feeling about your reality. I don't like the way that things are going. This is what I want, but it's not going this way. Well, First off, are you performing the right habits that align with what you want? And again, that's you taking an inventory. It's you taking an inventory. So be aware of the problem, be aware of the elements that have been contributing to your problem, and then be aware of the behaviors that should get you closer to what you actually want, your goals. All this is awareness now. It's just awareness. And then if there is a discrepancy between those paths right there, the correction becomes, all right, what should I be doing that aligns with my goals so that I can get to the reality that I desire? What should I be doing? I should be doing these things. Okay, I have a list of what I should be doing every day now. Do those things and the results should be coming. But don't just focus on the results.
Yeah.
The habit. That you need some machinery, because it's going to be hard for you to keep this change up. So you need the habit formation.
Hi.
And then if your reality
Good evening. Who am I speaking with tonight?
You're speaking with Harrison.
How you doing,
Yeah.
Mr. Jenkins? Woo, Jenkins and Mr. Harris.
Kingpin.
Oh, that's his nickname, Kingpin.
Yeah, Kingpin.
Go ahead with your comment. I thank you for your comment and your call in. We appreciate your support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this live.
Now, dude, so no, I was just, listening to everybody
Turn your
and
music down.
talking about awareness and recognizing. And ideally, in my humble opinion, that's what we all should strive to do, should be aware and to recognize. But what if, say, like in individuals in a cult type setting, where everything that they have that is of cognizance has been taught to them and they know nothing different, even if they are privy to the information that somebody else has given them outside of what they have been taught? How are they to recognize then? How are they to become aware then? How are they to move forward then?
I can answer
Are you
that.
asking that? I was about to say, go ahead, because I'll speak from the church. Go ahead.
Go.
To
So
basically, go ahead.
So yeah, that want to change, that need to change, that desire to change, how is that instilled in the individual that don't have those innate qualities in them based on their teachings that they've been surrounded by for so long? Like, you have people that go their whole lives and that's all they believe, even though they are privy to other information.
I got what I would say to that is I would call that, to be honest, I'm gonna be a little blunt. It's a bunch of excuses. If you want it, you have to want it. So it comes with structure. Just like my man said, just like Johnson. It comes with structure. So you have to start from the bottom up. If you see that your life is not doing what you think it needs to be doing, you have to change. It doesn't matter what you was taught. You can acknowledge what you were taught. Absolutely. That is perfectly fine, but you have to change your habits. And to be honest, don't concentrate on the goal, because it's the journey that you have to love. It's the journey that you have to get through, because that's going to be the most fulfilling part, because in the journey you learn how to teach other people. In the journey you learn how to teach yourself. And in the journey you know how to love everything that comes with work and bettering yourself. So I'm a man, and I'm straight to the core, and I'm straight to the root. So with that, I gotta call. I'm gonna call excuses, and if you want to sit down and fix it, we can fix it.
Okay, well, I got a caveat. I have a caveat towards what you just said there. You said that that's the straight to the source. You call that an excuse. Okay. You mean want to change. If you want to change, you can change, and you will follow the journey to change, correct?
You have to. If you don't see your life going the way you think it needs to go, what do you do?
Okay, perfect. So now, being that is the way it is, let's play devil's advocate. What happens to an individual that's coming from an uneducated background that becomes educated and applies themselves, seeing that their end state is to be gainfully employed in a corporation? They go to school, they get the education, they get the certification, but then when they're presented with an opportunity to get the job, they're not hired for that position.
Because life is not
that's
about
sensitive.
what you life ain't about what you do and how many certifications or degrees you got. It's most of the time about who you know. So you have to surround yourself with people, and then you'll beat that branch as well.
So why can't you apply that to that want and recognizing their need? Because that's the same principle. If you want to change and you try to change, then you should change, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, you could. I mean, you could apply both to both. You have to surround yourself. If you're not in the surroundings, just because like we all say, you're always a product of your environment. So if you're not in the right environment, if you notice all the things bad, that means you can change them. Because if you don't notice them, you'll never change them. That's why people go their whole lives being the same way. So if you're noticing them,
can you control everything that's around you?
That's always control. You can. It's about it. If you live in a bad area,
we can influence.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Influence, but no, you don't always have control of everything, but you have control of your mind.
Control your peace, correct?
Absolutely, you can always control your peace. It's you.
You can recognize and control your environment, correct?
Environment, not so much, because you don't have control over that. Anything outside of you, you don't have control over.
That's it. You can only control yourself.
Well, let me ask. I want to throw an element in here.
But go ahead.
I want to throw an element. Where does trust come in? Trusting yourself. Where does that come in all of this?
Can I? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, friend.
Go ahead, Ivy.
No. I want you to answer that question because okay. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll answer that question. Trust, and I'm going to speak from the neurospicy side of things. Trust comes from doing things and seeing the evidence that you can do it. Then you start to trust yourself. I didn't have the same awareness that you had coming up, Sherm. I didn't grow up in a cult, and but I grew up in a very, very specific church where it was you do things a certain type of way. By the time I was 18, I was brainwashed into believing that this was the way I had to live. And when I finally came up against things that challenged that way of living, it gave me such cognitive dissonance that I did not want to get uncomfortable because that's what I knew. Okay. So the only way.
Or was it Pentecostal? Because I was Pentecostal. My dad was a bishop of 22 churches. So I can relate to what you're saying as far as church reverence.
Okay. So right.
I understand.
Okay, so the way that I came out of it, and it wasn't Pentecostal, it was something called Brethren, but we're gonna stick a pin in that one because that's like completely to the left, right? So when what finally drove me to doing recovery, what I consider my own personal journey, was being so destitute and wanting to change my way of life and didn't want to live the way that I was living, that I wanted to off myself. And I have no problem with admitting to all of my stuff. Y'all already know I'm an open book, right? I literally realized in that moment that either I die or I do something that I have never done before to get what I have never had before. That's where it gets messed up. Let's go ahead and keep that a buck. Because if you can't form habits because you're in such a destitute place that you don't know where to start, you have to take risks. You have to take risks in your life to do something different. You have to challenge yourself, and challenging yourself and taking accountability for stuff that you believe is everybody else's fault instead of your fault is uncomfortable. People don't want to get uncomfortable. Boundaries make people uncomfortable. Change makes people uncomfortable. Everything makes people uncomfortable that is not in line with their original download. So that's where all of the change starts to align and starts to differ. And then you can start saying to yourself, oh, I don't have control of this, but guess what? I trust me because I have control of me. I can trust me. I can trust that whatever external is going off and is being stupid, that is perfectly fine. I accept that they gonna go this way. I trust me. That's where the change starts. having internal boundaries is where the change starts. And I'm sorry, I just get passionate about that. I get
No, it's
passionate because there's a
okay.
lot of
It's a
people
clip.
that don't really
That
get
was
It's a
fantastic.
clip.
Well,
Thank
let me help you out and put you at more ease, Queen. I grew up in the church the same way. I tried to commit suicide twice. First time after I came back from Iraq. Second time when I was in Hawaii with my ex-wife. So I understand. There's nothing to be embarrassed of. We can speak about it openly because we're on the other side. So I get you 110%. I understand what you're saying. I'm open book. John known me a long time. I'm with you. I'm the devil's advocate in the conversation. I'm the voice of the individual on the other side listening to this podcast and listening to this information saying, but what about this? What about that? Because that's the questions that they're asking themselves when they're watching this podcast when it comes to recognition, when it comes to actual making a move, making an understanding of, hey, look, this is where I'm at and this is where I need to be. I know I've been in this part for so long in my life, but maybe I need to change because this right here doesn't seem right. The internal conflict that they have on a day-to-day basis, you can attest to because you've had it yourself. At one point in time, we couldn't trust ourselves. That's why we didn't see no other way but to do the acts that we did that got us to that point. Those individuals are the individuals that listening to this podcast that need to know that, hey, outside of what you're feeling, outside of what you're seeing, there is a point in your life where you can recognize that that want and that need and that desire that you have don't just have to be based off that moment. It's a cumulative things of events that you need to sit down, annotate, and then assess, and then make a decision, conform and concise, and move forward. So that's why I ask the questions that I ask. That's why I make the standpoint that I make.
assess and make a decision. Y'all hear that?
I love it.
Assess
I love
and
it.
make a
And
decision.
make a decision.
I love it.
Gotta be aware.
Decision. It all starts with thank
A
you.
decision, choices,
Thank
decisions,
you.
and executions. That's what Dion would say. So I'm gonna put that out there. Choices, decisions, and execution. Choice, yeah, you have choices. Make a decision on which one you're gonna go with, and then execute.
Perception, though, your perception of it all. Perception.
Woo!
What do you see? What are you expecting? It's the interpretation of all these sensations. I have feelings about this. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm smelling. I'm perceiving this environment that I'm in, including the cognitive one, right? All these thoughts, ideas, ideologies, my beliefs about myself, my competence, my accomplishments, my failures, all of that is an environment too, right? And so we're trying to navigate that.
Absolutely.
And we're still talking about boundaries, right?
Absolutely.
We're still talking about boundaries. You're about to convey some boundaries to somebody that you don't even know. You're not even aware of your own boundaries, though. So Dion would also say it begins with self.
He do. He right.
Say that.
He would say that. So cheers to Kingpin for the line of questioning, because he's right on point. There is a method there. There is a process in which all this occurs. Yes.
Yes. Question yourself, man. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you to Mr. Kingpin for calling in with your comment and playing devil's advocate. We really appreciate that. Man, that was hot.
Keeping
that was
us sharp.
fire. Baby.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was a clip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just know that you're gonna be all over TikTok tonight.
I don't think he mind.
We good. I appreciate the opportunity to come to have a conversation with you guys. It's always a pleasure.
Always. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That part,
Seriously.
man.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right.
Y'all have a blessed evening.
You too.
Likewise.
It was a question I saw down there that I really wanted to answer. It was from Sean Howard. It was.
Hold on. Let's see.
He had a real game. I forgot what it was.
Let's see. Where was is it the if you can't if you can't control the environment?
Absolutely. Oh, that's what. Yeah, there you go. Because I wanted to just piggyback on that just a little bit, because it's the same with children as it is with your environment. You become the light. You influence anything that you're around if you're doing it. Children don't. We can tell them a million things. They don't really listen. They see how you move. That's the end all be all. They're gonna always move how you move. Because my mother told me a million things, but I still do things that she said, and I know they wrong. She know they wrong, but they were just it were ingrained in me. But
That
I had
part.
to unwind that stuff and learn better. But the battle never ends. You're always gonna keep learning. If you ever stop learning, that's when you die.
And I just want, can I just throw this in there? When you start to like hold yourself accountable for boundaries, and when you start to learn boundaries, the people around you start to react to those boundaries. They
Mhm.
start to realize that they have to have boundaries. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the quickest thing that will shape somebody the fuck up is kicking somebody out of your life because of the fact that you had a boundary. And I'm not saying do it without love. You do it because you love yourself. You know what I'm saying? And somebody
Mhm.
else will be able to see, oh, that king, that queen right there actually loves himself enough to be like, they're not going to pick up with me and my bullshit. Right. So that's the stuff that influences your environment, is when you start to hold yourself accountable. It's not
So
even a,
yeah,
come on.
you
Mm.
just
I'm gonna go back
you
on mute.
become the light. You just become the light.
Yeah.
That's all. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, because personal accountability is empowering.
Yeah,
When you
and it
have knowledge
empowers
of
people around you.
self, knowledge is power. If you have knowledge of self, self knowledge, self power, you're empowering yourself. So your boundaries should be conveying something about you. They should be reflective of something of you. Now, again, we've only been talking about the boundaries so far, largely as to, from inside, like, okay, you doing this to me, but there's the other way too, because you have boundaries and I'm outside of you, relating to you, connecting to you, right? So I mean, what about the outside coming in? Not just the inside coming out, but the outside coming in. What about everybody else, right? So how do we relate in terms of these boundaries? But let's get into these types real quick. Let's get into these types. I mean, man, we got all these other
Somebody
questions.
already
We
going up
might,
there.
we,
Oh
Somebody
yeah,
already
we
we
got
gotta
a
get to
another
all the
list.
other
part.
questions.
Is always at the
I
top
forgot. Let
right
me
Um,
go
there.
get my
Somebody
sheet.
already
I got a
going up
list of
there.
7 of them. Hold on, I'll be right back.
so
You
yeah,
gotta wait for that.
yeah, but Sean pretty much he covered that really well. There
You
are
did.
physical boundaries. That's the don't touch me.
Hmm.
How close can they get to you? There's the emotional boundaries. Again, that's also about the emotional closeness. What's my range of emotions that I'm willing to share with you, right? Then
Right.
there's the mental boundaries. I'm protecting you from my beliefs, my fantasies, my secrets.
Mm-hmm.
It's also about respecting other people's perspectives, though.
True.
And we violate, oh my gosh, on social media we violate those heavy. I see it. I've done it too. So that's why I'm calling out.
Yeah.
Mentally, we will attack people for what they believe on social media. That is a mental boundary violation. If
That
I'm
is.
attacking you for your perspective, hey, it is what it is. All right, it is what it is. We're not even talking about consequences of boundary violations yet. All right.
There
So
you
then
go.
there's time boundaries, right? It's how you manage your time and prioritize your commitments. There's the material boundaries. Yo, this is my lamp. This is my car. That's my wallet. That's my stuff. So am I going to be comfortable lending some of my stuff to you, sharing some of these items with you? We share a house
Mm-hmm.
together, right? That's a material boundary, right? And then yeah, you have your digital boundaries as well, right? We're in an increasingly connected world, and
Ooh, yes.
how you trade off your personal information online. You're sharing photos. You're sharing personal information. Hey, we did this
Man.
last week. Your thoughts. You're sharing that in digital environments. So now all of this content is now up for grabs on the internet, and
Yeah.
you got to figure out as an individual how much of that gets filtered out. Privacy comes into play, right? What else? We got digital, and then yeah, spiritual and sexual boundaries. Spiritual and sexual boundaries. Your religious practices. You might have an altar, or you might go to this church and it's exclusive and you don't want nobody knowing that you go to that church. Sexual. Hey, we ain't talking about sex on the fifth date, on the eighth date. We're not talking about sex at work. So boundaries come in many different forms. And again, we're multifaceted human beings. And so all of these different boundaries for different domains are just to help us operate, function, and connect through those rooms.
Absolutely.
I just had a conversation about spiritual boundaries. I was talking to a guy who is heavy in the church. You know, used to pastor at one point. We used to talk years ago, lost contact. We've been talking, and I told him, I said, I never thought that we would be able to work out because I could never be able to fulfill the shoes of a first lady. That's not me. That's not who I am. I said, I have an altar. I said, I respect that, you know, that's what you choose as far as what you choose to believe in. That's you. But I also have what I believe in, and I would need that to be respected as well. You have an altar at the church. I have an altar in my bedroom. So, you know, as long as you understand that I'm not going to tolerate the disrespect towards what I believe in, and I'm not going to disrespect what you believe in. If we was to ever get together, please be advised, I'm not going to be at church with you on Sunday. That's not me. That's not who I am. And you know what? He was like, I just want you to be you.
There you
I said,
go.
"Oh, okay.
We gonna talk about that later.
Man, I'm telling you,
I'm
this
in trouble.
man, because religious boundaries are like,
Am I in trouble?
if you,
Yeah. Nah,
not at all.
I'm a man. A couple of things. He better respect them boundaries. Anyway.
Come on, man, because
Man.
religious boundaries, man, and political boundaries, those just like Sean just said, the religious and political boundaries are the craziest ones these days.
Yeah.
And the thing is that because of the fact that people cannot let other people be themselves with their own boundaries and have the internal boundary for themselves where they feel like they don't have to encroach upon everybody else and their beliefs. That is the reason why we have so much division today. People will not just accept that people are allowed to live their own life and have their own boundaries, they have their own mansion, and religion is in one room, right? And you don't go in there and knock down anybody's altars. You don't go in there and you don't pop their crosses off of their window or take their Quran and stomp on it or anything. Let them be in their room. Let them be in that mansion room. Control. Come on, talk about it, man.
There it is.
Y'all spitting tonight, bro.
Thank you, Mr. Michael. Michael still is actually my cousin. Hi, honey. Thank you for watching. Make sure you tell everybody in your family about it.
Absolutely.
And just to take just one hop back, and then we're gonna hop forward, right? Because we haven't even talked about establishing boundaries yet, because we're running out of time. So here we are talking about violation of boundaries, right? Yeah, we just go where the conversation takes us.
About Miss Knight.
Petty, Tasha.
For 1 second, girl, don't believe that man.
Exactly. As soon as I heard what he said, I'm like, that sound like game.
Okay. Well,
I'm not doing that.
I'm not the church girl. I'm not the church girl.
And I'll be honest. Like I told you, I read all the religious books, and I'm talking about cover to cover. I just wanted to know some things, so I do entertain church. I'll go every once in a while because love is love, and a lot of people have vices and stuff like that, and I let them hold on to whatever you want to hold on to. Because if you need that cheeseburger to not go in that movie theater and shoot up everybody, I'm gonna get you that cheeseburger. I'm not above that. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not the one that's gonna be there every Sunday.
I ain't mad at you because I ain't either.
I may get inspired to go. I back years ago. I got inspired to go, and I was kindly reminded while I didn't go. How much you want? $250 per couple and $150. I was like, let me get out of here.
See, that's about money. That's where the devil resides. But see, you know what? Wait, you know what's crazy? Religion and all of their practices, they look very different when you know who you are.
Stick a pen. That's gonna take an hour. Come on, stick a pen. That itself is gonna take another hour.
Look, even John had to be like,
damn. I'll leave it where it's at.
Hey, it's branding. It's just branding. It's just branding. Really good branding.
That's all it is.
And every generation gets to rebrand it. Every generation gets to rebrand it in some way.
I'll drink to that.
We're gonna have to bring that religion. We're gonna have to bring that religion.
But anyways,
back, y'all. Anyway, okay.
So I'm bringing up this question, but it's a large jump ahead, right? But when we're formulating these boundaries, because we were talking about the control, right? And you only do that unconsciously, because that's your motivation. That's what's been done to you. That's what you learn to do, right? A lot of this ties into our moral development, right? So what the individual values in terms of principles, for example, personally, I value autonomy. I value that in myself, and likewise, why wouldn't I value autonomy in other people? I love it so much, I want you to experience the same thing, because if I'm enjoying this and I'm behaving well, you should be enjoying this as well. So if you're operating under this principle of autonomy, the boundaries are going to come from that as well. If I'm operating from a place of respect, the boundaries are all of the boundaries, the rules. It doesn't matter how particular the rules are, they still need to be based in something. So this is where we were going to, transition into reasonable and unreasonable boundaries. I know that there's a difference in opinions of those, but I was trying to set that up for this question right here, right? Because a lot of the times we don't know that the boundaries are there until we cross them, and then we have a conversation, right? So what should we be doing, whether it was conscious or unconscious, accidental or intentional? What steps should be taken to address violated boundaries?
I'm going to stop you right there. That's a good part 2. This is part 2.
Part 2.
Man.
Part 2.
Man,
this is a good part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah, we discussed what boundaries are and what they mean to you and the other person. But what steps should you be? This is part 2.
Look at them. Y'all doing the homework early.
Yeah.
Listen.
Like, ain't no homework tonight.
Yeah.
Man,
I would love to bring up the one thing that taught that completely with communication. It's called the talking boundary. Let's get into it next week. Okay. I think I talked to y'all about the talking boundary, and it changed my life, y'all. Changed my life. Trying to tell you the talking boundary. We're gonna get into it next week.
Absolutely.
We will definitely be back next week. I want to thank everybody for jumping in on tonight's live. Thank you for commenting, Mr. Harrison, for calling out, Sherman, Ivy, John. This has been great. We're gonna have to come back next week and do a part 2 on violating boundaries. What do you do? With that being said, oh my God, we will see you all back here next week.
Absolutely. Y'all stop. Y'all are spitting fire. Save it. Stick next week.
Tell your friends and tell your mother to come watch.
Right. Okay. Waiting on part 2. Yes, part 2.
Absolutely.
Oh, John, you got me.
Look at y'all. Look at y'all. Y'all are still caught up in here.
Next week. We're going to talk about it next part 2.
All right, y'all. We're going to do it part 2 next week. All right, y'all. Laters.
Peace.